Identify what are these things that you do in your everyday life which really brings you joy. Make that as your practice. All that will be your practice. All of that will be your practice. Just sitting silently drinking your cup of tea is one of the greatest meditative practice. Just walking in the forest, in the green, not thinking but observing the play of nature all around is one of the greatest meditative practice. You talked about frequencies, you asked about frequencies. And the truth of the matter is, in this life, we don't get what we want. We only attract what our frequency vibration is. Please understand this carefully. You might be wanting 10,000 things in life, but you struggle for that, you don't get it. Even peace, happiness, joy. Because what you attract from this vast cosmos is what your inner frequency vibration is and not what your want is. This cosmos, this existence, does not understand the language of your want, your desire. It understands the language of your vibration, your frequency. It's like in this atmosphere, right now, there are a lot of, let's say you are a transistor. There are all kinds of channels on the radio, of news, of music, of meditation, of stories, of all kinds of things, of poetry. But your channel, your radio your transistor will only get that particular channel, be it of news or of songs or of poetry, where you set your frequency. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? So this cosmos responds to your vibration, to your frequency, and not what you want. So yes, so that's one. Number two, you ask, how do you increase your frequency? Because most of the time, we find ourselves living with lower frequencies. Let's say the lower frequency of fear, of jealousy, of insecurity, of frustration, of hate. These are lower frequencies. What these lower frequencies do, number one, each one of this thought/lower frequency, it starts to interfere with your metabolic system also. It starts to create holes in your immunity system. It starts to weaken your body-mind capacity. A lot of disease starts to get entry into your system. That's what these lower frequencies will do. Apart from the fact that they'll constantly keep you unhappy, non-satisfied in life. Because you are constantly operating at these frequencies of, let's say, the lower frequencies, that's what universe responds back. Because you attract what you are. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. If you are operating at lower frequencies, that's exactly what you will attract more. The second part is then how do you change your frequency setup? How do you enter into the higher frequency zone? Very critical. Look at it carefully. Number one, what is the content of your thoughts most of the time? Because it is easy to change the content of your thought once you know the content of your thought. And that's where meditation comes into the practice. When you sit in your dhyana, your meditation, you're observing the content of your thoughts, which is your frequency. And then you start to intercept a thought of a higher frequency. To give you a practical example, let's say you are angry with person A because of ABC. Now you're sitting quietly, and the thought that you're angry with this person because of certain reasons, these thoughts are playing in your mind. You are observing this content of the thought, and then suddenly you make a shift and you say, every human being makes a mistake. Even I am not perfect. Everybody is unique. Let me accept and let go. Now, the moment you say this, let me accept and let go. Let go. Let the person be the way he or she is, because it is their karma, their life. I must not be entangled with their actions or their behavior. Because the fact of the matter is, you cannot change anybody. You can only pray, sometimes guide, but cannot force them to do things the way you want them to do. So you accept their behavior and you let go of what? You let go of your expectation of them to behave in a certain way. You let go of that. Now, in that instant, when you've intercepted this thought in your mind, you've suddenly started raising your frequency from frustration and anger to acceptance of the uniqueness of this individual and letting go of your expectation out of this individual. Suddenly your frequency is shifting. Now, the more you do this, you will start to enter into higher frequency zones. What are these zones? Where you will not just stay at the acceptance of their ways and let go of your expectations. You will also in time take a step forward, where you will start to learn to love them without any conditions. Slowly, the zone of I, that I am this, will start to expand. And they who are right now separate from this zone will also start to come in your zone as part of your being. With that, you now intercept another thought of gratitude. Not just complaining of what you do not have, but appreciating and paying gratitude to existence for all that you have been given, all that. And you make that as a practice. You're slowly increasing your frequency. You do this as a practice. And you don't do it mechanically, you do it very genuine as a practice. 3 things you start to observe then. I've said that before, I'm repeating because we need to know this. You start to observe the content of your thought and intercept new thoughts of higher frequencies. You do it slowly. Then you also increase your frequency through your speech. Earlier, if your speech was very hurtful, frustrating, complaining, you observe this speech, and one by one, you just see, the beauty is the moment you identify that, oh, I've said something which is, the tone is complaint, the tone is frustration, the tone is anger. The moment you observe this, the beauty is in the observation of this. It's like in the Buddhist text, they give a beautiful example of this. It's like holding a burning coal in your hand. When you observe it's a burning coal of frustration, anger, complaint, jealousy, you can't hold it in your hand any longer. It's burning you. But only when you observe and feel the sensation of that burning coal. Similarly, this frustration, this way of complaining, don't make it normal. Do not make it normal. Because when you make it normal, you stop sensing the pain of it. While the system is receiving the pain of complaint, but your active mind stop experiencing that pain as pain. It takes it as way of life. You understand what I'm saying? And you normalize this disease of complaining. You normalize that. So when you observe it, I said about thought, and then I said about words, which is your speech. So slowly you see that in sadhana, your speech starts to get very purified. From complaint, you make a big shift towards gratitude. From expectation, you make a big shift towards acceptance. So on and so forth. So that's level 2. And then level 3 at the action, which is behavior level. Now you also observe your behavior, your actions, things that you do. And slowly after observing, there also you start to increase your frequency of doing things. Now there's a dance, there's a rhythm in everything, every action that you perform. Earlier, every action you were performing very mechanically. Now there's a beauty, there's joy, there's poetry to every stance that your body makes. Even when you move your hand like that, it's like a rhythm, it's like a song or a poetry or a dance. Now your behavior, because your edges are getting smoothened, you no more have sharp edges. Now you're becoming very smooth. All your actions become very smooth. They operate from the space of eternal ease. But if you carefully observe, your thought, your words, your action, and working with this to change your frequency to higher levels is all internal work. Thoughts internal, speech internal, action originate from internal space. But is it all internal? Can I take support from the external world? Yes, you can take support from the external world also to change, to shift your frequency. What can you do now from the external support mechanics? Well, number one, this time, this yuga, all of you are consuming lot of content through various ways. Look carefully. Change the format of the content or the quality of the content. Now start to consume content which is of higher frequency. What does it mean practically? Now you do not watch cinema or TV shows which are very violent, horror driven kind. No, you don't watch that because that's a lower frequency content that you're consuming. You do not watch nonsensical books anymore. You stop your consumption of news a lot because most of the news channels are broadcasting low frequency data, low frequency content. Slowly, you start to replace all the content consumption to the content category which I call high frequency content. You listen to some nice music, you listen to some mantra chanting, so on and so forth. Now, so that's at the content level. Similarly, the people around you. There are a lot of people around you which are operating at low frequency. You go out, you choose friends, your sangha, and that's why we put so much of importance on sangha. Please go out. In your sangha, if there is only one person, but one person who's operating at the divine frequency, highest frequency of love, divinity, make that person as your closest friend. So your sangha, slowly you're changing and upgrading the frequency level in your sangha, in your relationships also. These are all the things that you can do it from the external point of view also. Because this work of raising your frequency to higher levels, positive zones, it's just not internal. Because we're very outward driven people. So we need to make some changes in our outer space also. And last bit on it I must share with you. You know, I go to some people's homes sometimes, and the homes are very cluttered. A lot of stuff in the home, no space there in the home, and all the stuff is very cluttered. It's all over the place. This too creates very low frequency zone. You empty the space out. You organize your workstation. You organize your home. Everything is well kept. That organized space outside creates organized thought process inside. Higher frequency zone. Each of these little things help you shift your frequency. And remember what I said in the beginning. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your frequency is. So through all these mediums, we are slowly raising our frequencies. And then we raise it to such a way that even Shiva gets attracted to our frequency. All we are trying to do in sadhana is to raise our vibration to such a level that Shiva also gets attracted to this vibration, this frequency that we are able to create. That's all we are trying to do in sadhana. Yes, hope it makes sense. And I think last bit in your question you asked, how to be thoughtless when working. Who said you need to be thoughtless when you're working? When you're working, you need thoughts. You need to ride on the thoughts to do what you want to do. Thoughts are not bad. Uncontrolled thought is a problem. Chatter is a problem. Thoughts are not a problem. Yeah, uncontrolled thoughts is a problem. So when you're working, that chatter, uncontrolled thought is what makes you not present. When you're working, you need to be very present. How do you become very present? One formula, just simple formula. You sharpen your attention. And that's how you increase your presence. And that's how you subside the chatter. Right now, we are listening to this satsang. Be very attentive. Be fully present here in this very moment. And if you do that, you will experience the zones where there will not be excessive chatter or overthinking in the mind. There will be very few thoughts which are relevant to this space right now. And then if you go much deeper, you may experience states of thoughtlessness even in this satsang right now. But don't try to get into the state of thoughtlessness right now, in the beginning. The formula is increase your presence by pouring all your attentiveness to the task that you're doing, to where you are. Bring all your presence and attention there, right? And then you see there'll be beauty and joy to the work that you do. It's not that we don't love our work. We don't love anything where we are not present fully, because we're not attentive to that. You become attentive to that. You make your presence more in that what you're doing, and you will start to see, you will enjoy that work much more. It's not about the kind of work. It's about the kind of presence and attention that you bring to the work. That changed the whole dynamic of it. It's like changing the gestalt of the whole situation. So focus must be on focus. And attention must be on increasing the presence wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And that will change the game. Hope it helps. Thank you.
Next question is from Shiva Shaheen. So her question is, I believe I'm in a karmic relationship where certain people trigger me deeply or leave lingering emotional residue. How can I best dissolve these karmic ties and clear and free myself? Second question, How do I find the biggest blind spot for me and what I need to resolve before I can jump in terms of my awareness? Third question. Some people experience bliss or joy during certain practices, but I haven't felt this in the past 2 years of consistently practicing yoga. I've heard this may relate to how the energy system is structured. How can I change that?
Look at the language of the question here. And the question, to what I heard, starts from, I believe that I'm in a karmic relationship. Hold on. That's where the problem is. You believe. Your belief is creating the problem. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the problem of our world today. We believe too many things. We do not experience. You've not written you experience karmic connection or relation with ABC. You said you believe. What is belief? It's an over thought that you've put on a certain subject. And by putting a lot of, repetitive thought into a particular subject, it becomes your belief system. Your karmic connection with somebody which triggers something in you. Please let this not be your belief. If it's your experience, it's a different matter. Do not make it into a belief. Why? Because when you believe something, all channels are blocked. Now you're very fixed to that. Beliefs do not want or do not allow you to move freely. Unless the belief comes from deepest experience of your being. But most of the time, these beliefs are not from the deepest experience of our being. So that's number one. Your belief is creating the karmic tie. The day you stop believing about this karmic tie because of which, let's say, you are suffering, the day you stop believing in that, the karmic tie will start to dissolve. How does it really work? You know how does it really work? We hold on to our own karmic ties through our belief structures. Because what you are is nothing but a set of belief systems. Listen to this again. What you are is just a collection of belief systems, nothing else. If you're able to release your belief from this karmic tie or anything else, you are released from everything. Everything starts to dissolve. So where do you start? This belief needs to be broken. I am not into any karmic entanglement with anybody. I'm a free being here on this earth for something, and that something will figure out. But I'm a free being. There's a beautiful scripture called, and I really love that. I don't recommend you to read at this stage. But I really love that. It's called Yoga Vasishtha. There, Vasishtha Rishi guides Sri Rama on a similar subject. And a line I read there, mind-blowing. It says that, O Rama, if you believe you are trapped, you are trapped. If you experience you are liberated, you are liberated. But it's your belief that keeps you trapped, O Rama, to this karmic connections of the world. Break all beliefs and be free. That's all I'm telling you. Break this belief that you're karmically connected, attached, entangled with some things or some being. They trigger you. Break this belief. In your heart, know that you're born free. We're all born liberated. You can live this liberation in this very moment, provided there is no belief nonsense holding you back. Correct? Break that belief, and you will see liberation, the experience of liberation within that relationship. Okay, number one. Number two, you asked, how do you find your biggest blind spot to enhance your, to resolve before you enhance your awareness level or something like that? Look at it carefully. You don't need to resolve anything before you enhance your awareness level. Rather, the truth is, the moment you start to enhance your awareness level, all blind spots will dissolve. Any blind spot in your life is existing just because your awareness is not reaching to that corner. Nothing needs to be resolved before you awaken or enhance your awareness level. The whole process is enhancing your awareness level. Then everything gets resolved. It's not the other way around. And that's the whole world is trying to do. Let me first fix this. Sadhaks come to me and they say, oh, let me first fix my job and my future money insecurity and ABC in my life. And then I'll get into the sadhana, which is enhancing the awareness. And I say, you're approaching it absolutely in the wrong way. You start your sadhana, you start to enhance your awareness level, and everything else starts to get fixed in your life. Every part of your life starts to become a breeze. Because now your awareness is very enhanced. And when the awareness is enhanced, you do not get entangled with any person, any situation, any desire. You do not get entangled with it. While you are with people in situations fulfilling your desires, but you do not get entangled with them. And that's the beauty of enhancing your awareness. So that's the first thing you need to do, parallel to everything else that you're doing in your life. Enhance your awareness level. That is the must. And that's the starting point. If I remember, the third part of your question is that people experience a lot of bliss while doing their practices, but you don't get that bliss since last 2 years. Is there some issue in the energy system, energy channels? Again, you're falling in the same trap. Lot of hearsay. Oh, people are saying they're experiencing bliss. People say all kinds of things. What all will you believe? You understand what I'm saying? What are you doing here? Do not go for hearsay. Go for your own truth. And what is your own truth in this case? Your own truth is, you're doing a certain practice, you're not getting any joy of it. Well, the process is not working for you. It's as simple as that. We're all wired for different processes. Somebody like pasta, somebody like noodles, somebody like chapati, somebody like dosa. They're all wired for different tastes. The same is with practices. If you're doing certain practice for 2 years, it's not working or bringing any bliss, well, the practice is not meant for you. As simple as that. Number one. Number two, look at the situation differently. Now, instead of going out and finding other practices, what you really need to do. Now, this is important. Look at your day-to-day life. The secret of spiritualities are not hidden in the Himalayas somewhere. They are hidden in your day-to-day life. Look at your day-to-day life. What is it that you do which brings bliss to you? I'm not talking about physical pleasures, because physical pleasure comes and goes. Bliss, which is very deeper internal, it stays for a much longer duration. What is it that brings this? Let's not call it bliss, let's call it joy. What is it that brings joy to you in life? Maybe while you're sitting and listening to a particular piece of flute music, let's say. When you're looking out of the window at the birds and the trees. When you're walking barefoot in the forest. When you're by the river. When you're cooking. When you're just cooking. breathing joyfully, just cooking. When you just sit with your cup of, whatever, chai, and just enjoy every sip of it in that moment. When you have a conversation with a dear friend, when you read something which brings you closer to the truth, identify what are these things that you do in your everyday life which really brings you joy. Make that as your practice. All that will be your practice. All of that will be your practice. Just sitting silently drinking your cup of tea is one of the greatest meditative practice. Just walking in the forest, in the green, not thinking but observing the play of nature all around is one of the greatest meditative practice. Anything could become a practice. Anything. So don't say that I will do this practice and then people say I must get joy. I'm saying reverse the order. Identify things that bring you joy. You know things that bring you joy. And make those things as your practice. Last, in one of the satsang I had said, and I'll give the same example again. We have a senior sadhak at the ashram, I'll not name. For this sadhak, cooking meal for everybody is one of the greatest joyful practice. And she enjoys doing that a lot. And that is her practice. That is her practice. And that practice alone, if she goes deeper into that practice, will make her awakened. Neem Karoli Baba, one of the greatest saints of India, used to say, love all, feed all, serve all. And that's the practice. That's the spiritual practice that he gave to the world. Love all, serve all, feed all. So this sadhak at our ashram, out of the 3 options of practices that Neem Karoli Baba gave, she's hooked on to one practice, feeding all. Path to liberation. Because that process brings her joy. She's very joyful when she's doing that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying do not do your yoga or pranayama or asana practice. But you must know what this practice is meant for. Asana practice is great. It brings stability in the body, flexibility in the body, strength in the body. It also helps you enhance your focus, attention. Brilliant practice for the maintenance of body, helping you increase your awareness, increase your attention level. Pranayama, breathing, great practice to clear your channels so that prana can flow freely in the body. It will bring you a lot of health and well-being. Also some level of mental clarity. But may not necessarily be a spiritual practice for you. So you do these asanas of yoga and these pranayama and all other things that you're doing, but know it well that these practices are bringing well-being, stability to the body, mind and breath construct. But deeper spiritual practice could be, as I said, drinking your cup of chai, walking in the forest, cooking a meal, serving somebody, having a conversation, basically where your mind does not jump and you're into it. That's when you experience joy. You do not experience joy if you have to do a great spiritual practice mechanically. You have to do. It will never bring any joy to anybody. Because unless you have a love affair with what you do as practice, there is no joy. So look at the whole situation very differently. Identify, I'm repeating again, identify things in your daily life that bring joy to you. Make those activities, those things as your practice. All the other yogic practices that you're doing, maintenance level, very good for body, mind, breath construct, continue. Do not bring mechanicality to any practice. Without love affair, the life energy from or spiritual energy from any practice is gone. Your reverence to the practice is what brings the spiritual energy into the practice. Your have to do, your mechanicalness does not bring any sacredness into the practice. It is just mechanical movement, nothing else. It does not bring anything to you. Okay, are we clear on that? Hope we are clear on that. Now approach your sadhana, your practice from this new way of looking at it. I hope it will help. Thank you.
The next question is anonymous, and the sadhak is saying, after 13 years on the spiritual path, exploring different lineages in a handful of very overwhelming, even traumatic inner experiences, where it felt like the devil was a central aspect of my own being, I feel more disconnected from my heart, from the world, from the creation, and from the possibility of transcendence than I ever have. Life has become joyless and humorless, and in many ways the story of relentless dualities. No, not depression. I still move through the days of life, handle professional and personal responsibilities, care for loved ones, but my heart feels numb despite daily sadhana. What is required to re experience wholeness and transcend the darkness that has infected my heart, or maybe always lived underneath?
My dear sadhak, don't be dejected. It's not that sadhana is not working for you. It is we are approaching sadhana from a very wrong lens. We just need to change that lens and everything is sorted. What is the wrong lens we are using right now? The wrong lens that we're using right now. Okay. A lot of us who do our sadhana, there is a desire behind doing the sadhana. And I know in many sadhaks cases, the desires are still very worldly oriented. They want to do sadhana because they want to better their relationship. Worldly desire for doing sadhana. They want to do sadhana, they are doing sadhana so that they have better health. Worldly desire to do sadhana. They're doing sadhana so that they become much more relaxed when they're doing their high pressure job. Worldly desire for sadhana. You understand what I'm saying? Our desire, the goal of sadhana is very unpurified. Very unpurified. And when it is not fructifying, it's bringing a lot of frustration in us, which is saying devil inside. Everybody has devil inside, and that's Kali Yuga. The definition of Kali Yuga, where the devil does not live outside anymore, not on some other planet, not some in other country, not outside your house, not in the other person. The devil in the Kali Yuga lives in your mind, not in your heart. Your heart is the space of the divine, very sacred space. And we're not talking about the physical organ heart. We're talking about the spiritual heart. That's the seat of the divine. But your mind is infested with the asuric shaktis, the devil. Every human being is suffering through that. We could use different terms for this. Lower frequency, higher frequency is one term for that. But the beauty in human incarnation is either you can pour your attention your energy, your sadhana towards the divine, which is the highest desire, or towards the worldly attainments, which is low frequency desires, which are devilish desires, what you're experiencing. You understand what I'm saying? We've brought down the highest sadhana to the lowest level. Something that can take you in the lap of Shiva, in the embrace of Shiva, in the oneness of Shiva. We've reduced that to just fulfill our pleasure, worldly desires. Hence, it's not working, and hence a lot of dejection that we see or we experience. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Purify your motive, your intention to do the sadhana that you're doing. What is the motive? What was the motive of Buddha when he entered into the space of sadhana? What was his motive? Motive was to become better at job? Have more cordial relations with the world around? No. No. Those are all the plus benefits, outcomes, bonuses that you will get out of sadhana. But if that's the prime motive, there's a deep problem here. Earlier in the satsang I shared, you do not attract what you want, you attract what your vibration is. So now the vibration of us doing our sadhana is to gain some material comfort through relationship or this or that. Don't bring sadhana down to that level. It will not work. It will not work that way. So number one, purify the intention of your sadhana. And I was saying, when Buddha entered into sadhana, his intention was very pure. He wanted to find out a way so that he can transcend this whole duality of pain and pleasure. That's where his journey started. Is there anything beyond this life, beyond the pain and pleasures of the life? Because this whole life seems like a big dukkha. Is there a way out of this dukkha? If in the end we all die, is there a way out of that? Then what is the truth? What is the reality? Who is God? Buddha wanted to find all of that. Absolute purified intention of sadhana. He attained. Anybody who walks the path with very purified intention attains. We do not attain because of the impurity of the attention, of the intention. So do everything possible to purify your intention. You ask, how will it come back to you? How will this sadhana help you transcend? Well, just purify this. Just do just one thing. Purify the intention behind sadhana. And when you will do, something magical will happen, and I'll tell you what magical will happen, or that magic you can also as practice bring into your life. It's changing the perspective. Now everything in your life you start to do as your sadhana. Change the orientation of everything that you're doing in your life as your sadhana. So first we purify the intention of sadhana. Then sadhana is just not 1 hour of practice that we do. Then we change the orientation of everything that we're doing in life and make that as our spiritual process, spiritual progress, spiritual sadhana. For an example, you start to eat food. Now it's no longer food for you. You look at this and you see it's a piece of divine. Suddenly that food in your plate becomes prasada. It's a gift from the divine. You're eating the same food, but your orientation, perception towards this food has changed. You like to travel, please go travel. But see every travel as a pilgrimage now. Every travel. You're going to the ocean, pilgrimage, Sagareshwaraya. We have name for everything here. For me, ocean, which in Hindi is called Sagar, is just not Sagar. Whenever I go to Sagar, and last week week before that, I was at an ocean in Maharashtra. Whenever I look at the ocean, even when I was looking at the Pacific Ocean in the US, I would bow down and say, Sagareshwaraya. To me, it's the greatest form of Shiva. Sagareshwaraya. So your travel becomes pilgrimage. Every relationship becomes an opportunity to serve. Every person in your network becomes Sangha. You understand what's happening here? You're changing the perspective towards everything slowly. Every song that you listen becomes kirtan to you. It happens at the ashram, sometime. Somebody is singing, let's say, some old Bollywood song, or sometime I am singing some old Bollywood song, and suddenly in the song a line will come, and I'll say, oh my God, this is not a human line. This is a very prayerful line the poet has written. So for us, every poetry is kirtan, every song is kirtan. Everything, there's divinity then in everything that you see, that you do, that you hear, that you experience. Now, for the first time in your life, sadhana is happening. For the very first time now in your life, sadhana is happening. Are we clear? Purify the intention of doing your sadhana. If you are only desiring to better your relation, better your health, please do not call it sadhana. Then call it anything else. That I'm writing this journal to become less stressful. Then don't say it's my sadhana. I'm just writing this journal to become less stressful. I am practicing gratitude so that my relationships improve. Be very clear. Then don't call it spiritual sadhana. Because the moment you use the word spiritual sadhana, we are entering into serious business now. Not serious, not serious like long phase, but intense business we are entering into. The intense business of bliss we are entering into. Yeah, but it's intense business. Then please let's not bring it level to the regular earthly achievements that we want out of life. Yeah. So purify your intention of sadhana and start to then bring sadhana into every aspect of your life and see the magic will unfold. Your purity will unfold this magic. I have not seen, my friend, anybody who approach sadhana, who enter into sadhana with a very purified heart, and who is then not able to defeat all the demons inside. All your devils and demons inside that you mentioned, they only fear one thing. Only one thing they fear. And that one thing is your purified sadhana. That's all they fear. The moment you enter into sadhana with purity, these demons they can't survive that. They'll have to just disappear. They just cannot survive that. All demons. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. Someday we'll talk about it in detail in English. All these demons just fear purity of your sadhana. So invoke Shiva in your life, your highest Isht. Be in the presence of your Guru as much as you can, even if it's digitally. Be in connection with your Sangha more and more. Heartfully connected with your Sangha. Make your life as an opportunity to do seva to the divine through your acts. Everything that you do in this life, your job, your serving family, anything that you're doing, is your seva to your Shiva. And bring purity in your sadhana. You do these 5. No demon can stay in your mind. They will have to leave. Because originally, It is all the space of Shiva. Not just your heart is the space of Shiva, even your mind is space of Shiva. All you are is just whole space owned by Shiva. It's just that some devils have entered because of your puny desires. They found a window. You drop your puny desires, the window is blocked. You invoke the highest desire for Shiva, demons are gone. Life is not as difficult as it appears to be. Invoke Shiva, invoke Guru, invoke Sangha, invoke Seva, purify sadhana. The beauty will appear back in your life. I hope, I pray it happens, not just for you, for all of us in this very life. Thank you.